Good morning, everyone. Today we have with us Principal Ritu Bishnoi from New Yashoda Public Schools. And today we are talking about the influence of education and books and the value they carry in our lives. So, welcome to the interview, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we'll start with some generic question. How you decided to become the principal? Like, what thing came in your life that made you decide that I want to become a teacher, a principal of the students?
Especially if I talk about being a teacher, it was influence of my teachers. And especially I had the privilege of being taught by two remarkable teachers. And one was my maths teacher, Mr. Bhaskaran. He was a very simple person. And his methods of teaching were also very simple. He simplified even the complex concepts.
Okay.
Moreover, he was unbiased. And that is the thing that I like the most.
Okay.
And second was my political science teacher, Mr. Kurin. His teaching methods were also quite different. He used to give us projects and they made it compulsory for us to explore the libraries.
Okay.
And he gave us projects. For them, we had to take interviews also. We had to look out for resources outside the school. And those things helped me. These two teachers, they influenced me and teaching became my passion.
What do you feel like when you were as a teacher and you were dealing with the parents, and now as a principal you have to deal with the new kind of parents? So what do you think the change in parents have come up while dealing with the students as the generation is progressing?
See, I am also a parent.
Absolutely.
So it is not the question of me being a teacher or a principal or a parent. See, basically what happens is both school and family and community as a whole is responsible for the child. What values we inculcate in a child, from where is the child getting these values from? From the family, from the school, from the community. So what kind of culture are we taking forward? How are we behaving? What are our habits? What are our values? So we need to introspect. We need to know how we need to behave, what values we want our child to inculcate. So we should set examples. So if we set examples, nothing would go wrong with the students. So it is not that how you deal with parents or what set of parents. Previously, a community was small and teachers were respected quite a lot. And at that time, the parents used to leave it totally on the teachers. But that time, the parents used to live in joint families most of the time. And when they were living in joint family, the children, they were growing together. So anybody could say anything to them. So nobody felt bad. And now we have nuclear families. And parents are busy. It is not that they are empathetic towards their students, but they are becoming more possessive. So that possessiveness has to be checked. They need to know what is good for the child. They need to work along with the teachers. They need to work along with the school.
Oh.
It is only the collaboration between the three that can help in the development of the child. Because school, teachers and the management and the parents all together can work for the development of a child.
What do you feel as a teacher and as a principal, new things should be introduced or have been introduced by you in your school to make your students prepare for the future in a better way, and they could, explore more field and they could become in getting some other skills as well?
See, all schools have their own challenges, their weaknesses and strengths. So what a school can provide, it depends upon that. How much resources they have, it depends upon that. So basically when we talk about the coming age and the new occupations that are coming up, we can make our children aware about them. We can tell them what subject combinations or what activities they can indulge in to know where their passion lies. So we need to have activities planned in the school, and activities should be planned in such a manner that we cater to needs of almost all students, and we are able to provide a variety of activities so which let them explore the world. So that we can do. Of course, we are doing also, we can do the counseling. That's what we are doing now also. So rest activities, I would say that it depends from school to school.
So how do you feel about this technology coming into play in education, and what do you think are the advantages or some disadvantages they carry for the students?
See, technology is of course helping us out. As I told you that all children have different learning methods. So their styles are different. So to match different styles and to cater to the needs of all the students, we need to have different methods incorporated together. So for that, technology of course helps, because some children learn by doing, some by watching. The visual helps them to understand, some just by listening. So when we combine all these skills, we make the class more interactive, and the attention span of the child also increases. So of course it is helping, and as we have also introduced coding in the school, so that is also helping. So of course technology is helping, but we should not misuse it. For everything we should not depend upon technology. So that we have to see how much, because most of the time parents do complain if online tests are given, or for some project work they have to use the internet. So but that parents have to make their child understand. So it is not that only the school can discipline the child. What kind of routine the parents are following, how much time they are spending with the child, what kind of activities the child is indulging in, are they aware of it, and are they encouraging their child to have some hobbies. So it all depends upon that. As I told you, it is collaboration. It's not that the entire burden can be on the school or family. We all have to work together. So if we make good use of technology, of course it is good.
This problem which has come up with new tech, how you think people should deal with this, that their child or a student himself or herself can become better at it?
Okay, from where does the child learn? From his surroundings?
Absolutely.
From the environment?
Absolutely.
Who's there in the environment?
Their parents,
Family,
friends.
school.
Yeah.
So we have to first ensure how we behave, what kind of values and what kind of activities we are being involved in. For example, if I open a book in my free time and I'm reading, if my child sees me reading, he will also be interested in reading. But what do you find in homes? On dining table, 4 people are sitting with 4 phones and they're busy in their phone. So when you are not doing it, how can you expect your child to do it? So first we need to set examples, and we need to be very patient. Nowadays, there is no patience. All are lacking patience.
Absolutely.
Parents they think that, oh, he's disturbing me, let me give the mobile or tab. So this is our fault, it is not the child's fault. So what kind of environment we are giving to the child, he's adapting that kind of environment, those kinds of habits which we are indulging in. And we are not being open with our children. We don't talk to them about different things. And that's why they go and switch to these sites where things are easily available. And then there are lock systems. Parents should keep a watch on their child. So that is also important.
If we say no to something to a student, he or she tries to do that. So if that person sees a kid's lock on, how do you think, like, is it beneficial or is it harming? Like, what are your views on that thing?
So that's what I told you, be open with your kids, talk to them. That is essential. So where is that curiosity? Where does it come from? When you're not allowed to do something. So that's what I'm telling. Be frank, discuss different things with your child, and don't give him that time that he has to indulge in such kind of activities. If you set a routine, and if your routine is busy, what is the basic aim in the life of a child?
Just
being involved in
exactly.
activities, enjoy his life and education. He doesn't have the burden of earning money for the family or doing any household chores.
Absolutely.
So you plan your child's activities, and you plan your activities, your hobbies also, so that the child looks at you and he also does the same thing, because we learn from our surroundings. So what we see, that's what we do. So if we want our children to have good habits, first we need to develop those good habits.
Physical activities carry a lot of importance to our health and our body. So how you think that what kind of things parents could do or should do that could get back their child on the field and, get involved in such activities where they are communicating with others and not getting isolated with their mobile phones.
When you talked about COVID, I just recalled one thing. During COVID time, we all know about Milkha Singh.
Absolutely.
He's fitness freak.
Absolutely.
And his entire family used to have workout at home.
Okay. Nice.
See, what did I say? What we do, our children are going to do the same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
So why did you give tab or phone to the child? You could sit with the child, read the book, or you could climb the stairs. You could use your terrace for different activities. So it depends upon us. And moreover, see, all the schools have playgrounds. So as I told you, it's a collaboration. So the school can open those grounds in the evening for the student. They will have enough space to play.
How you think in the age of social media where everyone is getting connected with everyone so easily, what steps or things teachers should keep in mind when they are, interacting with the students regarding this in the perspective of social media?
See, when we talk about society, there are norms. And in every relationship, there is some gap. There are certain norms that we need to follow. So, and when we talk about not being a teacher, but being a human being, first of all, we need to see that what kind of image are we portraying? How do we want people to know us? And when you are in a position where you shape minds of young children, you need to be more careful. So, why do we want our personal life to become so open? So, it is our values that tells us what is good, what is bad, how far we need to go, what kind of things should be there on our social medias. And it is the responsibility of a teacher to be responsible, to maintain the decorum of the profession, and students look upon you. They find mentors and teachers. So as a mentor, you need to know what is good, what is bad. So, of course, teachers should maintain distance. It is not that they should not be in touch with them or should not use social media or any social media platform. They should use, but they should be cautious.
So what changes you feel that you are doing in your school for the students and for the teachers as well to become better at what they are doing?
See, basically, if I talk about my school, our teachers are very much connected with the parents of a child. So a class teacher makes calls to the parents also. Daily she calls 3 to 4 parents. So in a month, at least once, she talks to the parents. And she informs the parents about all the habits of the student, not only academics, but his eating habits also, or any kind of behavioral changes. So teachers do discuss with the parents. And even if we find something on the social media, we even discuss those things with the parents. So teachers act in a very cautious manner. We do not want to hurt anyone's sentiment. And what they do outside the school, whether it's a teacher or a child, we cannot say much about it. But of course, we do have certain guidelines for the teachers also, like what kind of pictures you are posting, what comments you are giving. So that, of course, the teachers have to keep in mind.
A thing was taught in a certain way beforehand, but now the ways have changed. The way we are representing our content has changed. So what is that change which has come with the generation? What do you feel?
First, it was teacher-centric teaching. Teacher used to come in the class, deliver the lecture, very less number of activities or very less practical implementation or real-life examples. Now we are giving more real-life examples, more hand-on experiences. So that has helped the child to learn better. So those things are good for the child. And of course, technology is helping us. What kind of content? See, we cannot restrict it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If the school is not providing, the child will have access from somewhere else. So we need to teach a child that whatever you are reading is not true. You need to tell your child that how you can check the authenticity of the material. So if we teach these things to the children, then the things will not be in such a condition.
That questioning thing, that curiosity in students, how you think that thing can be ignited more in the students, that they ask a lot more compared to what previous generation used to ask?
So it should be student-centric education. So the teacher needs to be well versed in the subject. If teachers knows her subject, then there is no problem. She can answer any question. And moreover, the class should be more interactive. If the class is more interactive, you give more opportunity to the student to ask. It means you are clearing the doubts. And the child is able to relate to the real world. So the child needs to relate to the real world and the concepts need to be clear. So if we give them activities, see, when we are teaching a chapter, it is not that the teacher comes in the class and explains the chapter. There are certain chapters in which you can assign a pre-activity and which the child would know how to do. You can give the parameters also on what those rubrics will be on which you will judge their activity, and it is related to the chapter, so they will know what they are going to learn in that chapter. So it is not that everything the teacher has to teach by his own way. We have to provide an opportunity to the child also to learn by himself. So it will make the child more confident, and when he is exploring the things, more questions will come to his mind.
What kind of plans or things you have been doing and have planned to do to make your education a better place?
One thing is activities. We tell the teachers to prepare any activity for any subject matter. But what happens when we come to the implementation? Time is less, or you don't have space, or it would create indiscipline. So because of these things, sometimes we tend to neglect those activities. But I encourage the teachers to take on those activities. If you need space, you can use the school hall, you can use the school ground, but activities should be carried out. So that is very much essential for the growth of a child. Second important thing is that trips, day feeds, they are also very important, but we restrict them also because of lack of resource or time, or sometimes the weather doesn't permit. So it happens, but we need to pre-plan these things. So co-curricular activities also need to be planned properly. So what range of activities we are taking. So just not picking activity for the sake of it, but what will be the objective and what will be the outcome, that needs to be kept in mind. So planning of the activities, that is very essential, and that we are really working on.
Thank you so much for taking time with us, and I hope more practical things and understanding comes up with the students and the teachers, and thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.